Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda Boudreaux. Our guest today is Derek Mosley. Derek is the director and archivist at the Ernest J. Gaines Center, which is located in the Dupree Library at UL. And we're going to be talking about the Ernest J. Gaines Center and the collection there. So welcome, Derek. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Linda. I'm so happy to be here this afternoon.
So, I assume that everyone knows who Ernest Gaines is, but I think probably that's an incorrect assumption, although many people do. But who exactly is he?
Okay. Dr. Ernest Gaines is a Louisiana legend. He was the writer in residence at UL for over 20 years, and he's written 9 books.
Novels, right? All novels?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, 2 of them are short stories and essays.
Okay.
And so the others are novels. And so at UL, he was a figure that was there, and people were able to interact with him, speak with him, listen to him, and really understand him.
And he was held in such high esteem
yes.
by everyone who worked with him, knew him.
Yes, and he still is.
Yeah.
And he's just such a great person
Yeah.
and great personality. So when he retired, the university created the Ernest J. Gaines Center to really honor and preserve his legacy.
And it makes sense that his center would be there because that's where he taught.
Mm-hmm.
And did he win a Pulitzer Prize or some kind of really big award somewhere along the way?
He has actually been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize,
Okay.
but he didn't win.
Well, you know what?
Yes,
Nominations are a big
yes,
deal.
He has a multitude of other awards, including from the White House, from other universities, international awards, and we have all those in the center for people to come and see.
And in his writing, did he have any particular themes, or was there anything that kind of made his body of work kind of that would be kind of his signature, or would identify him?
Yes, he's really telling his story. He's telling stories that really connect with him. He's giving us true life Louisiana via many different periods of time. He really writes about his land. He's from Point Capee Parish, New Roads, which is not too far from Baton Rouge.
Yeah,
so
right.
most of his stories are set in a fictional place that is very similar to Point Capee Parish. And you can really understand Louisiana through his writings, from the food to the culture to the way of life to the racial interactions. His works just give you true writing and real personal stories.
And some of them were like, I think, probably the legends of his own family or his own people, huh?
Yes, exactly. He had he's really writing about things that relate to him, and those really come out in the novels.
Did he, when he was at UL, did he also teach?
Yes, he taught a creative writing seminar each spring semester, and it was open to anyone. It wasn't just students. People from outside of the university could actually submit stories. You actually had to submit, I think it was a 20-page short story, and he would read all of them, all of the submissions. And he would pick, I think there were 12 to 15 that were the best, or the ones that he thought that he could really work with. And those people were able to work with him for a whole semester.
Gosh, what an honor. How fun. And
they would write, and he would critique, and the classmates would actually critique. And it was just such a great experience. And UL still has that with future and current writer in residence.
Okay, so who's the writer in residence here now?
We have a new one coming this fall from New Orleans, and I'm not sure of his name.
Okay, and besides which, it's probably premature to announce it, but there's going to be somebody coming to UL this fall.
Yes.
Because really the writing, the creative writing, the literature component of the university is one of our hallmarks. It's something to be very, very proud of.
I definitely think it draws students. The English and creative writing department has such great faculty, and they really mold and nurture their students, and I think that they've created great writers. Actually, one of Ernest Gaines' favorite students, Wiley Cash, has actually released one of his novels, and it's been a great success.
So see, the legacy lives on, so to speak. Well, tell me about the Ernest J. Gaines Center. Now, where is it located?
Okay, we're located on the 3rd floor of the Edith Garland Dupree Library in the back. We're actually a part of the Special Collections Department of the library. The center is a part of that. And so we're right near the Special Collections Department on the opposite side.
Okay.
And so we're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 4:30 on Monday through Thursday, and from 9 to 12:30 on Friday.
Okay.
And we host a variety of events that are either during the day or after in the evening.
Okay, so let's kind of break it down then. First of all, just to talk about what's there.
Mm-hmm.
What is there? What will we find if we go?
We have the Ernest J. Gaines collection, which is the manuscript collection of Ernest Gaines. The collection was actually given to the library in the mid '80s. So the collection has been there for over 20 years, and things have been added to it, and now that collection is in the center and open for research.
Okay.
So that collection consists of mostly handwritten and typed drafts of all 9 works that he's written. From the first draft to the publisher galleys, all of those are in the collection. So you can see how the characters change in the novels, what their names were in the beginning, if the book was written in first person at first and then switched to something else. There are notes. There are all types of great research potential in the collection.
Have you read them all?
I have read all the books, but not all the drafts and
Okay.
manuscripts.
Is that on your list of things to do?
I don't think I'll ever get to all of the
All of them?
pages
There's
of
a lot of
draft.
it,
Yeah,
huh?
there are. I would estimate, I don't know how many thousands of pages,
Wow.
and there, and so some are handwritten, some are typed. He has a wonderful process of writing. He usually writes by hand on unlined yellow sheets of paper, front and back. So the entire novel is written by hand, and then sometimes he'll go back and write it for a second time via hand, and then he'll type it on a typewriter, and then sometimes he'll type it again before he sends it off to his publisher to be proofed and reviewed. So we have all of those drafts, which
Wow.
could,
That's a lot of writing,
yeah,
huh?
some books have 5 or 6, some have even more than that. And it's just, it's interesting to see how much time and effort went into those books. It wasn't just, let's write a book.
Right,
And
right.
here's the draft and here's the finished
And I
copy.
go sit down at my computer, I'm just going to knock that out in no time at
Right,
all. You know? So when you say that that's all there and it's for research purposes, how would you use his drafts for research?
Actually, a class at UL has actually used them for research.
Okay.
They studied the character development from the first draft through the final copy. And they noted what changes were made, how things were changed. And this was just a very short project where they looked at maybe 2 or 3 pages and just looked at each draft with the 2 or 3 pages and wrote a paper on the changes and how the characters developed and how things changed, the scenery, the words that were used, the dialect. So that's been, that's a very interesting project that could be taken to a whole nother level.
Okay, and so these materials then would be available to a class if they wanted to come in, make an appointment, I guess, and start looking at the works. How does that, do you conduct the class in the library? How do you do that? Because
Yes.
you can't take those materials out.
Yes, well, we actually have a boardroom in the center, and it seats about 12 to 15,
Okay.
but we've had up to 30 in there. It's a smaller room, but that's where classes come, and I, with my hand, carefully show things to the students.
Because I'm thinking, you just can't be,
We're not just passing it out for
No.
people to look,
Yeah.
but yes, but you can come and we can really, work with the class and understand that. And if there's a researcher, then you can have more up close and personal with the collection.
Okay, so a researcher could actually sit down and
Right.
do something with it.
Under my watch.
So as an archivist, what is your job and what are your responsibilities?
My job is to preserve, arrange, describe, and provide access to these materials. So in terms of getting a collection that may just come in a box and really organizing it so that researchers and the public are able to really understand the collection. So that takes,
That sounds like a lot to me.
it takes a lot of work and careful consideration as to how people are going to be able to use the records. You want to make sure that it's as open and as easy to understand as possible, so that when you come in, you can really, if you're looking for one specific thing, you'll be able to find it
Okay.
and be able to look at it and understand what you're looking for. And so
So
that's one of my main duties.
So you have to really have not just a fine sense of discernment, but really good organizational skills. I'm thinking to be able to take a box of something that somebody's donating and go through all that and figure out what to do with it so that it would make sense to anybody.
Right. And there are different ways to actually do that. You can do it via, dates, so you can do it in chronological order. You can take things and put them, this is from 1974 on, we put it all, each year we'll put all the correspondence into one folder for each year, so you'll be able to find it.
Okay.
But, it can get more.
If you know what year it was
right,
written.
if you know what year it was written, and if not, you have to, either you're going to make a folder that has undated material so that people can, place it with, if they're doing research and they see something that may correspond, then they can find it. You really want to give the researcher the ability to interpret the collection.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be what I think. I want to give you an opportunity to really do your own research, but I want to arrange it and describe it in a way that it's not, you're starting from scratch. The archivist is there to really gain at least some type of insight into the collection.
And then so you kind of like are the guide, and then the researcher can take all that and do with it as he or she sees fit.
Yeah, and usually someone's writing a paper or writing a book,
right,
and so you want, you're not there to write it for them. You're not there to,
proofread it for them.
Right, but you're there to provide that access and answer questions if they are there.
Are a lot of people still interested in researching Dr. Gaines's work? Is it a busy place where you are?
It is busy. There are people, classes are very interested, especially high school, middle school classes who are reading his books. The autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, A Lesson Before Dying, A Gathering of Old Men, are all books that are in the curriculum for the state. And so, we get lots of emails and calls looking for Earnest Gaines, but not necessarily looking for the center.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Right. So, and we're there to be able to say, well, no, we can't,
we can't give him
Earnest,
to you.
right, but you can come to us, or we can come to you and actually talk about the center and his legacy. So, that's something that, we're very lucky to have, that people are still reading his works and people are still interested in his works.
Do you think that that his works have been selected for the school curriculum because he's a Louisiana writer? Because I think his works are so wonderful that they would be selected anyway. And this is just an opinion, but I'm just going to ask you.
I definitely think so. I mean, people all over the country have been reading his books in school.
And so it isn't just Louisiana.
Yeah, it's just not Louisiana. So we have correspondence from high schools and middle schools all over the country writing to Earnest Gaines.
It's one more reason to fluff our feathers, huh?
Right.
So how did you end up at the Earnest Gaines Center? I mean, you're not even a Louisiana man.
I am a fan of Earnest Gaines.
Then it must be a privilege for you.
It really is a privilege. I'm not from Louisiana, I'm from Texas, but I had read Earnest Gaines' work, not all of it before I came, but I saw this job posting for the Ernest J. Gaines Center. I was like, well, I have to apply. I mean, I just love his work. And before I started working in the center, my favorite book was A Lesson Before Dying. Mm-hmm. But being in the center, I've switched to my favorite Earnest Gaines book,
now?
Of Love and Dust.
I have not read that one.
It is his second book that came out. It came out in the mid-'60s.
Wow.
And it's a great, great book.
So and he does have a significant collection, so you just give yourself lots of evenings to sit down and do a kind of Earnest Gaines marathon, I guess.
Right. Yes, and 3 of his books have been turned into TV movies.
Okay, which ones?
The autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, A Gathering of Old Men, and A Lesson Before Dying. Okay. And all 3 of those are available for viewing either online or purchase.
Okay, so we can do all of that?
Yeah.
Now, at the center itself, you do some special events, you said?
Yes. We love to collaborate with actual departments or student groups on campus. It's been great to have people come and visit the center when they had no idea that it was there. Since the center opened in 2010, it's been really...
so it's still pretty new.
Yeah, it's still pretty new. And we really want people around the area to really know and come. We have a great partnership with the creative writing department. We do creative writing readings. So they actually invite different creative writers from all over to come to the university, and we actually are the space where they come to do their readings. Okay. And so right in our hallway outside the center, we put chairs and a microphone and a podium, and those authors come, and students and staff and community members are more than welcome to come. And those are usually at night around 7 or 7:30.
Okay. So, and are those publicized or promoted?
Yes,
somewhere?
Those are on the Ernest J. Gaines Center website. They're usually on the English department Facebook page and website. So they're somewhere to be found.
Okay, then use your social media. You'll find us somewhere. through the UL Earnest Gain stuff.
Yes.
And is there a fee for any of these kinds of
No,
things? They're
all
free?
of our events are free. And we try to have that as a standard. We want to make sure that people can come regardless of money.
So, my favorite question to ask about anything on campus is how's parking?
Not good during the day, but a lot better after 4:30. So during the day, you can park in any of the pay lots on campus, which are for visitors. They have a space for visitors.
And they just built one of,
Yes.
that's kind of in progress, huh?
Right, and there's, and the university is always looking for ways to, better the parking situation on campus, I think.
We're all in that.
And so, it can be hard, but
It is what it is,
Yeah.
it's a university and.
Right, and there are people and there are things going on. But after 4:30, most of the parking spots are open all over campus. And you can park in almost any lot, so it's a lot easier to get to the evening events.
Okay. Do y'all collaborate with other of the departments or divisions in the library itself? I mean, are there like library events?
Yes, I work with other staff and librarians to do different things. We've written grants together to either digitize the collection or to actually provide scanners. We actually work with other departments to either do National Novel Writing Month, which was something that we did with the head of cataloging. She had a passion to do Novel Writing Month, so she wanted to have the center be the place where students could come and write. You were supposed to write I think it was a 10,000 word novel in the month of November. So she invited them to come every Tuesday.
What a fun project.
To write for, I think it was 2 hours. And so that's just something, we are definitely a space that is willing to work with others and be open and really promote ourselves.
And I think part of what's good about that is as you open the space for other purposes, you get people kind of into your corner of the building, huh? So then they
yes.
become more aware or more comfortable with the center itself.
Yes.
So when you walk into the center, because I have not been in it, what does it look like? I mean, what are you facing when you walk in?
When you walk in, you will see beautiful stained glass.
Oh, how nice.
That was done by Karen Bork, who is a wonderful artist. And she created this beautiful stained glass that actually depicts Louisiana landscape. So there is a panel of sugarcane on both sides, and there's a huge panel of an oak, and that is what we like to call Miss Jane's oak, from Miss Jane Pittman. And so it's beautiful. There are pebbles. There is just such a centerpiece for the center, and it's something that when people come, they're just in awe of how beautiful that stained glass is and how permanent it is.
What a great welcome for
Yes.
everyone. So that was designed for the center itself?
It was.
Well, I'm glad I asked the question. I had no idea.
It is
You asked
beautiful, and it's definitely something that people should definitely see if they stop by.
And we were talking before we started today's show. Now, part of what you do or part of your responsibility is to maintain and keep for posterity these documents. And these documents include, I guess, more than the drafts of the novels and short stories. What other kinds of documents are you preserving?
We have lots of correspondence. As I was talking about earlier with students from all over the country would actually mail letters to Earnest Gaines, and we have a large collection of those.
Now, why is that important to keep?
Because you will always be able to understand how people reacted to the book. Some of these letters came in 1999 after the TV movie premiered. Some came when the book was published, and some still come even now. And so that's interesting to see how students relate to it. 15 years after it was published, or 20 years after it was published, or 1 year.
Yeah.
And so we have all of those letters, which are actually fairly new to the center. We just received those last year from Dr. Gaines.
So he's continuing, I guess he's the primary source for
Yes.
what's in there. He continues to contribute and donate.
Yes, he actually has lots of other material that are coming in, and we're working to get those ready for access to the public.
So I guess you've met him, huh?
Yes, multiple times.
So it's been a good benefit for you, I would think, since you've been a big fan.
I think it's the best benefit to sit and have a cup of coffee with one of your favorite authors.
Yeah,
It's definitely, and he has a great ability to just really talk with you and really understand you, and it's been an honor.
So when you visit with him, is he still like a great storyteller? Do you still feel like, you can just...
Definitely. You can still feel his, that he has stories going, and he's still writing. He turned 80 in January. And
I knew he was somewhere around there, yeah.
And he's still writing, and so we look forward to future novels coming out.
So he ain't done yet?
No, not at all.
Now, how are you going to preserve all this? I mean, like forever and ever. I mean, as the pages turn yellow and begin to crumble, what happens to all of our stuff?
Well, we will definitely still have these pieces of paper, and I'm sure we'll send it out to be preserved if they start to get really in a bad shape. But we're also working to really digitize the collection to actually provide internet access to them. So researchers who are from outside of the United States, who may or may not be able to come to Lafayette, can access some of the materials online. And we've started working with the Louisiana Digital Library, which is a consortium of different libraries and archives all over the state that have a digital library. So we're actually going to be a part of that.
Good.
The university is already a part of that with our special collections department, and so we're going to add the Ernest J. Gaines papers to that as well.
Because I'm thinking, libraries are changing because the way that we access books is changing, the way that we store data is changing, and so it's important, I guess, to make sure that all of these documents are digitalized and that people can access them other ways. That's the wave of the future, huh?
Definitely. This is an opportunity to really showcase archives and special collections, to have things available online. It's just a great arena that, 15 years ago you may not have thought about being able to see a document from 1795 that's online. But now that is an option.
And you don't have to worry about wearing gloves.
Right. And you can do it from the comfort of your home.
Exactly. So it's really pretty exciting in a whole lot of ways, wouldn't you say?
I definitely think so.
So why are you an archivist rather than something else? I mean, this is something that you truly love. I can tell just talking to you. What is it that attracts you to this?
I was a history major in college, and I thought that I would teach. I thought I would be like a high school history teacher. And I did an internship where I worked in the archives at my university library. And I did tours of different archives. So I went to business archives, government archives, university archives, and I really saw, that this is something that I could do as a career, to work with history, to preserve history, to promote it. And I decided to go to library school and become an archivist.
And so you did.
And the rest is history.
So you did. So if somebody's interested in finding out more about the Ernest J. Gaines Center, what do they need to do? You
can go to our website, which is linked from the UL Library website. You can just type in Ernest J. Gaines Center and it'll pop up.
Okay.
We have Facebook and Twitter that are updated regularly.
Okay, so any special events, any readings or whatever?
It would definitely be on the website and via the social media.
Okay.
And we're really looking forward to September. We will actually have Dr. Gaines in the center to actually do a reading this fall.
I hope people will come for that. I think that'll be so special.
It usually is our biggest thing.
It must be a thrill for him too to come and just sort of be back on campus and kind of see, kind of where he's come from and where he is. Because, that's a look back for him as well as for all of us.
And people from all over come. Actually, the last time he read, which was in 2011, we had over 150 people.
So you have room for that many in there?
Yeah, in our hall. We use our hall, which is quite long, and we put chairs out, and, they're standing room only.
Okay. Do people need to register for any of these things, or can they just come?
You can just come.
And if somebody went to the center and they didn't really know what they were looking for, they just kind of wanted to look around, can they do that, or do you have to come with a specific purpose?
No, you can come, and if you just want to look at the center itself and look at our space, you can do that. We have books that are out. We have the international translations of some of the books that people can look at and just see how wide of an impact Ernest Gaines has had on the entire world.
And now that you spent a couple of years with him, how are you different?
I definitely think I know more actually about Louisiana and the culture and life in Lafayette. It's been a great experience.
Okay, so it changes us, and I guess the point of that question is that we all change through literature, we change through the stories of our past, and the stories matter. The stories matter.
Each time that you read it, you really get something different out of it.
So don't think just because you went once that you're done with it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So the last minute or so that we have, again, just to kind of recap the upcoming event so that people can kind of get it in their head and maybe on their calendar. In September,
We will have a reading by Dr. Gaines, and
Okay.
that date is not finalized yet, but it will be circulated widely when we have
Okay.
that date, as well as we will continue our creative writing readings with the creative writing department.
and those are going to be,
And those, I think there are 4 to 5 each semester that we have,
okay,
and those
so-
are generated
So those will be
widely
announced as well.
Yes.
And then if somebody is just having a special project or interested in some way or other in Dr. Gaines, they can just come up and look
Yes.
around and enjoy the stained glass window and hang with you.
And meet me. They can call, email. I'm always there.
Okay, so good to meet with you.
Thank
I'm
you
glad
so
you
much,
came,
Linda.
and glad you filled us in on what's going on over there, because I do like to keep up.
Thank you.
I'm Linda Boudreaux. You have been watching The Extra Mile. We've been talking with Derek Mosley. He is the director and archivist at the Ernest J. Gaines Center at UL. So if you want to find out more about Dr. Gaines and his writings, feel free to go by. Thank you for watching The Extra Mile.